as a high achieving woman, you're wired to invest and believe in potential and keep working to make things happen. But those same skills that built your career will keep you in an almost relationship longer than you should be if you keep trying to do everything yourself to move things forward. And it's not happening naturally. You're not in a bad relationship. You're in an almost relationship. It doesn't look or feel like a bad relationship. It doesn't feel unhealthy. And that's what makes it hard to see. If you want to be engaged by December 2026, it's really great to have this conversation now if you want to meet him and be with him this year. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Love Chat with the Love Twins. I'm Gladys Diaz, and I am so happy to be here with you today. I want to get right into today's topic because what we're talking about today is something that I hear. I can honestly say I hear from women talking about this. I'm not going to say every single week, but I would say just about every single week. And most of them, they don't even have a name for it. They don't have a name for it yet. So we're going to call it out today. And let me explain what the pattern looks like first. Well, first of all, if you're here, say hi, because you know it's just weird when Michelle and I are talking and we don't know who's here. So go ahead and say hi. If you're watching the replay, just go ahead and drop replay so we know you're watching the replay when we come back to see the comments. But I'm going to describe the pattern for you so you can see if this feels familiar, either because you're currently living in it or you've lived in this pattern in the past. So you meet someone. And it starts off strong. Like there seems to be a real connection. You are not imagining it. It feels like you have so much in common. Like the two of you were just, like you've known each other your whole lives, right? And then somewhere along the way, sometimes sooner, sometimes later, things just stop moving forward. And it's not like anything ends dramatically. Nothing dramatic happens, but it just stalls. It feels like it's not going anywhere. It's just staying exactly where it is. But first of all, you find yourself thinking like, what's going on here? Then you find yourself staying in this pattern because you're like, wait, but it was moving so strong and we were both headed in the right direction. And we were talking about, what it was going to be like in the future and the things that we could do together. Like I didn't imagine that those conversations happen. So you're like staying, waiting to see if something happens that has him step up, take the lead and move things forward. So you start doing things like giving him the benefit of the doubt or hoping, wishing, praying that it actually comes together this time, that it doesn't end like all the other times, but it doesn't. It doesn't come together. It doesn't move forward. He doesn't step up and you just find yourself in this holding pattern. So tonight we're naming it. We're naming what this pattern is, and it's called the almost relationship. I know you're familiar with the situationship, and usually the situationship, not only are you pretending like you're in a relationship, like this is different, right? In the situationship, you're acting like you're in a relationship and the other person has no intention of this ever becoming a relationship. And usually there's been some physical intimacy, right? And it could happen in the almost relationship too. But what's happening in the almost relationship is that a lot of times in the situationship, the person has said, this is like, I don't want to be in a committed relationship. I'm just good with, let's just keep it light. Let's not put any labels on it. I know there's more than one of you out there, and I know y'all have heard this, right? And so in the almost relationship, it feels like it's just a step away from it becoming something real, but then it doesn't. So if almost relationship, if that term just landed in your chest, like you were like, oh my gosh, I'm in one, or I was in one and I know now what it's called, go ahead and put a heart in the chat so that I know that that it's resonating with you, but also that there's some acknowledgement of it. Because here's the thing, a lot of times we don't want to acknowledge or admit or just say that we are in something like that, or we've been in something in a situation, a pattern like that. But the thing is, when it comes to creating transformation, you've got to be able to tell yourself the truth. Michelle and I call love chats like it's Tell the Truth Tuesday. Where you're telling yourself the truth. Like, yeah, I have. And I've been in that, and I've waited and I've held on and I've, looked to see, we're going to talk a little bit more about how it shows up, but it really is important. So thank you, Teresa, for telling the truth on Tell the Truth Tuesday, right? Because you can't attract a person who is honest, who you can trust to tell you the truth, even sometimes when it's hard, if you're not able and willing to do that with yourself. You're actually expecting someone to do something that you're unwilling to do. So that's all Tell the Truth Tuesday is, right? And so I want to talk a little bit more about the almost relationship, because here's the thing, it doesn't look or feel like a bad relationship. Like it's not, there's words I don't want to say because I don't want it taken down from Facebook, but there's, it's not emotionally detrimental, you know what word I mean, or physically painful. It's none of those things. It's not a bad relationship. It doesn't feel unhealthy. And that's what makes it hard to see, because it started strong. He was consistent. You actually felt cared for. You felt desired. You weren't making it up. You weren't making up the conversations that you all were having. And then at some point, clarity got replaced by uncertainty. All of a sudden, where you felt like you felt so clear, like this is actually moving in the right direction, like this could be it, right? These are the things we say to ourselves. All of a sudden, there's this uncertainty, and you're uncertain about him, you're uncertain about you, you're uncertain about what this is or what it isn't. And you start doing the investigating and translating phenomenon. What is that? You know exactly what I'm talking about. You're reading and rereading texts to look for the clue as to what it was that happened. Did you say something? Did you do something? You start investigating and translating. Well, maybe he thinks that I meant this, or maybe he meant that, right? And you're spending a lot of time and energy trying to figure out why it's not moving forward. Or another thing that shows up in this investigating and translating phenomenon is you start interpreting behavior, whether it was early behavior or the behavior that's taking place now, as a sign. This is a sign that we are meant to be together. This is a sign that this is, like, he is the one. So you start looking for all of that. And I'm not saying this sarcastically. Like, your brain actually is like, well, he did say that in the summer we would go to his family's 4th of July party, that he couldn't wait to introduce me to his family. He did say that, right? And so now you're using things from the past as evidence that yes, like this is real, even though in the present moment it doesn't feel like a real relationship, but it's almost a relationship. Okay. You also find yourself explaining him and what he's doing, what he's saying, what he's not doing to your friends or to your family, the people who are close to you. So you'll say things like, it started off really strong. I thought he was different. I think he's different. I mean, he's definitely different than XYZ, better than, the last 2 guys that I dated. I felt like some things were going somewhere, but now I'm not sure. So you hear yourself saying these things to your girlfriends, your family members. And if you said any of those statements or something similar to it in the past year, and you're saying it about the person that you're with right now, you're not in a bad relationship. You're in an almost relationship. It's not a relationship at all. So it can't be a bad one, right? It's almost a relationship, but not quite. Those things are completely different. Okay. So before I go deeper into this, I want to say, if this is landing, if this is something that's resonating, like, God, I can see that I'm in this kind of relationship, or I can see where at least 2-3 times in the past I've been in this exact kind of relationship, and I don't know what to do about it. Like, I don't know how to break this pattern, because it is a painful pattern. Even though it's not a bad relationship, there's still a level of pain, because it's not what you really want it to be, and it's not moving in that direction, and part of you knows it. Maybe doesn't want to see it and acknowledge it, which is why you keep hoping, holding on, staying. But right? Your heart knows. So in a little bit, we're not going to do it right now, but in a little bit we're gonna drop a link. And when we drop that link, it's to have a very specific conversation, because if this is resonating with you, if you're like, this sounds super familiar, right? It's important that you understand, not just know that you have a pattern. That's like step 1 of actually breaking through something. It's, what is the impact that this is having? Why does it keep repeating itself? Why do I keep having this experience? And then how do I, like, real steps for breaking through this so I can be in the relationship that I want to be in? Because if you want to be in the relationship of your dreams this year, 2026, and I was talking to somebody today and I said, if you want to be engaged by December 2026, you get to be willing to do whatever you need to do now. Because to be engaged in 8 months, you want to know that you've given yourself time to get to know the person, to really spend time together, to talk about the things that there are to talk about, to allow him to take the lead, to give yourself the experience of first dating, and then being in a relationship, then a committed, being in an exclusive relationship, a committed relationship, and engagement. So if you want to be engaged by the end of the year, now is the time to do this work so that you can meet him, right? Because you don't want to rush into anything. You want to give yourself time. If you want to be married by the end of the year, which has happened, we know the women, they'll probably make a comment somewhere in the chat, that have met and gotten married within 6 to 9 months of starting to work with us, then now is the time. So this isn't a for later conversation. So we'll drop that link. I want you to keep listening. But by the end of tonight, I really do assert that there are many women who are going to know that this conversation that we're having, it's for you. And there's nothing bad or wrong about that. Actually, it's really great to have this conversation now if you want to meet him and be with him this year. Okay. So, in terms of going back to the almost relationship, they aren't held together by the present. This is the main thing. Usually, that what they're being held together by is what was happening at the beginning. So, you're holding it together with a memory or memories of how it was when you first started talking to one another, when you first started dating. So let's say that you felt the version of him, like you really love the version of him that showed up in weeks 1 through 6. Like that's exactly what I was looking for, weeks 1 through 6 or month 1 and 2, right? It was like on point. And now you're in month 4 or 7 or 10 or 14, and you're waiting for that version to come back. You're like literally in a holding pattern, waiting for him to show up the way he was showing up at the beginning. Now, that's not hope. That's an emotional agreement you didn't even know you made with someone. You agreed, or with yourself, actually. It's an emotional agreement you made with yourself where you agreed to accept less than what you felt at the start in exchange for the possibility that maybe it might come back, that you might get back on track, that things might start looking like they're moving toward a real relationship, move out of this almost phase into an actual relationship, and then, of course, marriage, if that's what you want, which most of the ladies who work with us, that is exactly what they want. So what happens, particularly with high achieving women, women who are go-getters, women who are self-made, very self-directed, self-sufficient, this happens, and they're especially vulnerable to this pattern because as a highly driven woman, a high achieving woman, you're wired to invest and believe in potential and keep working to make things happen, right? That's just like the wiring of like entrepreneurs and high achieving women. It's like you know that there's potential and you keep doing whatever you can do to move things forward. But those same skills that build your career will keep you in an almost relationship longer than you should be if you keep trying to do everything yourself to move things forward and it's not happening naturally. Okay. So what it costs you, it's not just time. And I don't know about you, but there's few things that irk me more than somebody wasting my time, especially if that somebody is me, right? Like I don't like to, it's a very high price to pay. Some people think price like money, but time, like years of your life, that's a high price to pay too, especially if what you want is to spend years and years and years with the right person. Okay. So it's not just costing you time, it's also costing you the woman you're not becoming while you're waiting because you're not having the experiences that you want to have and becoming and being the woman that you want to be in the relationship of your dreams. So, how do you shift out of this pattern? Well, the shift doesn't, it isn't about becoming, because I read this stuff on the internet. We're going to be doing some more stuff like really reacting to the stuff that's out there on social media platforms and on the internet that are just, they're just confusing the heck out of women and they're having women sabotage themselves. So I want to say that shifting out of this pattern isn't about becoming harder or colder or entitled in the way that a lot of the women on the internet are talking about. Because even though that makes you feel bolder, right? It feels bolder than sitting around and waiting passively. It is not attractive. It's just not attractive to be entitled. It's not attractive to be playing games and playing hard to get and giving men tests and hoops and things for them to jump through. It's like that's too much work. I already have a job, right? I just want things to, like, if it is aligned with my vision and my values, for things to flow easily. But when you're getting that kind of, I'm just going to call it advice from people who, some of them have the best intentions and some of them are honestly for the algorithm. They're literally putting things out there that are polarizing and the opposite of what you want to be doing, so that people will comment on their videos and say, you shouldn't say this, blah, blah, blah. And meanwhile, they're making money monetizing off of the chaos that's happening in the comments, right? But I digress. Let's get back to you. Becoming colder, more entitled, harsher, that is not attractive. And what it does is it makes you seem unapproachable, which is the opposite of what you want, because you want to be attractive and approachable, right? So the shift is that you stop. The first step is that you acknowledge what it is, acknowledge the almost relationship for what it is and what it isn't. And then you stop engaging with this undefined, unclear connection. Like you've got to make a choice. It is not his choice whether or not this turns into a relationship. It is your choice. Here's where your power lies on whether or not you're going to wait around to see if he comes around. Right? So you just stop it, and you stop translating and investigating. You stop passively waiting for somebody else to determine your future, your destiny, your life, your dreams. And you stop accepting this. Let's see where it goes. That's not late. Let's just see where it goes, past the point where you already know that it's not going there. If you're hearing the person that you're with, or you've heard the guys that you've dated in the past say things like, let's just see how it goes, and there's a point where you can see that it is not going anywhere or anywhere close to what it is that you want, then you get to stop accepting that and stop participating in that. Real love doesn't ever leave you guessing. If you're guessing and you're questioning, you really already have your answer. You really do. Okay. So I don't know, Ivy, what you mean by better late than never, but let me know what you mean by that. Let me know what you mean by that comment. Okay, so I want to pause here because I know that some of you are listening, whether it's here live or in the replay, and that something is, like something's getting cracked open for you. And maybe you just realized, oh my gosh, like I'm in this almost relationship right now, or the one that you just left, or the one that you had that you were like, oh, that's why it didn't go anywhere. Like then I was mad at him, but then who I'm really just upset with myself. But being upset with yourself, okay, give yourself 2 minutes and then let's figure out what to do instead, right? So if something's cracking open where you're seeing I'm in this pattern, or I've participated in this pattern, and maybe not once or twice or 3 times, but several times, then first step, like I said, is acknowledge that it is, or it's been an almost relationship. Not quite, but almost a relationship. And if you are in that kind of relationship and you don't want to be in that relationship and you don't know what your next step to do, I'm going to give you your next step. Okay. But if you know, whether it was in the past or now, that you don't want to spend another year of your life in something that's almost what you want, but not quite, then here's what I want you to do with that. If you've never had a love discovery session with someone on our team, you want to book that session now. That's the link that I was talking about earlier. So somebody from my team is going to drop it in the chat. But first, let me tell you what it is. It's a real conversation. In a love discovery session, we look at your specific pattern, ask you some questions to get obviously more details than we could hear. And then we start to identify what the specific pattern that keeps having this repeat in your life is. Okay. So this isn't generic dating talk. It's not fluffy, make you feel better about yourself talk. It's not that. And it's not the kind of conversation where you leave with absolutely no clarity or real steps that you can start taking right now. We look at what you share with us. Possibly we'll ask questions about the kind of men you've been attracting, the where and when the relationships keep stalling, or if you're in a relationship, where did it stall? And then we look at the emotional agreements that you've been making without realizing it, like the agreements that you've made with yourself without even knowing it. And then we tell you exactly what's happening, how it's impacting your love life, and what you can do starting right now to turn it around so that you can have a real relationship, the real relationship that you want, not something that's close to or just about or almost what you want. Okay. So if you're sitting there, you've been sitting there for a bit going, oh my gosh, she's describing me, and you've never spoken to one of our love breakthrough coaches, go ahead, book the call. Don't wait till the end of the episode. Don't wait until tomorrow. Don't leave it open on your browser thinking you're going to come back to it, because just like the other 75 tabs that are open on your browser or on your phone, you're going to forget. So do it now. And here's what I know. The women who book while they're still feeling it, while they're still like engaged in this conversation, are the ones who actually show up. Right? They actually show up and they do the work and they break through and get the relationship that they want. So go ahead, do that while I'm talking, because I got some more for you. Okay. So before I go on, if this has resonated with you, go ahead and type almost in the comments, right? Just so that I can gauge where we're at. And you can add something else. Okay. If like in my almost relationships, blank happens. I know that there's not that much time to type right now, but if you type it, we'll come back. We'll come back and check the comments. But if you've been in an almost relationship, go ahead and drop almost in the chat and then tell me a little bit about that. So thank you, Cynthia. So Cynthia's almost. So tell me a little bit about that. What has it be almost? And some of you are in it right now, right? And some of you have been in it. So if it's not something that you're experiencing right now, like just think of the last 2 or 3 dating experiences that you've had that didn't turn into a relationship, and look to see, was it an almost relationship? Did it have all the signs that it might maybe turn into that, but then it didn't? And if you're in that kind of relationship right now, then I know that part of you could feel a little scared acknowledging that, because the brain says, well, I don't want to leave him because better than nothing, right? Or what if I say or do something to push him away? You cannot do or say something to make someone want to be with you or to make someone not want to be with you. Every person, both you and the other person, have your own agency, like your own sovereignty. You can make your own decisions. And being afraid of losing someone who's never going to be in a relationship with you or doesn't want to be in a relationship with you is not really a loss. I'm not saying that there's not going to be little bit of time where you miss that person, but really the loss is that the man who is out there, who actually wants a relationship, who is really looking for a woman, he doesn't want to play games either. He's at the point, he's like, I've been there, I've done that. I just want somebody who is who she says she is, who's authentic, and who also wants to create real love. That man, that's what it's costing you. Like, he's out there going, where is she? Like, I know she exists. Where is she? Okay. So if you haven't done it, you've never had a call with us, and you want to talk specifically about this, go ahead and put, when there's some questions that we ask you when you book the call, and just put, I think I'm in an almost relationship, or I'm tired of being in almost relationships, and our love breakthrough coaches will know what you're talking about. Okay. So very quickly, here's what it looks like. It's a real conversation. Like I said, we look at your pattern. We're going to ask you questions. We're going to look to see, okay, what is it that has been causing this? And we're going to go underneath it, right? We're going to go deeper than surface level and tell you, you know what? These are the next 2, 3 steps that you can take to shift this pattern. So it's for you if you're a woman who's built a beautiful life. You've just, like, that's been something that's important to you. You've built a beautiful life that includes a career, a family, your education, you have your own business, and your relationship is that one area of your life that doesn't match the rest of your life, that the success and the results that you've created there, then this call is for you. It's not for you if what you want is for someone to tell you that he's going to come around. First of all, because we're not, we're many things, and we're very good at what we do. And a lot of the women, many of the women, a ton of women who have worked with us are now in happy, loving relationships and marriages. We're great at that. Well, we're not a psychic. And we're also not like those mentalists that can make somebody think or want to do something that they don't want to do. We're not hypnotists either. So we're not going to tell you, oh, he's going to come around just so you feel better. We're going to tell you the truth. And the truth, as the Bible says, is what will set you free. Okay. So you want to make sure that you click on that link if you've never had a love breakthrough session, and schedule it, book it right now so you can have that conversation. Because when, like I said, first step is acknowledging that that's what it is. It's an almost not quite there yet relationship. And also, you want to get curious about what is it. Like I named one of the things that has women stay. 2 of the things I said, if you're a highly driven woman, you've been wired to keep trying to make something work, to not give up until you get what you want. But if that involves another person's choice, it's not really something that you can control. You can absolutely put that to work over here in doing what we call the heart work, so that you break through it and you absolutely don't have to settle for anything less than the real love that you want. And the second thing that I said that you can do is, aside from not falling into that pattern, just acknowledging that you're in a pattern, is tell yourself the truth, and then tell yourself, what is it that I really want? You're going to have to, for a moment, put the person aside, because if you say, what do I really want with him? That's one of the emotional agreements. There's an attachment there. It's like, what kind of relationship do I really want? And what is it that I'm ready to have now? What is it that I'm ready for right now? And is this it? And it's so much easier to have the courage when you've got somebody standing there with you in your corner, telling you the steps and giving you the words to say, not only to the other person, but to yourself, so that you can break through the fear. Because the fear, right, first was the wiring. That's one of the things that has you fall into the pattern. And then the thing that has you stay is the fear of moving on, of what if this is the best that I can do, of what if there really isn't somebody out there. But that fear, first of all, is not the truth. There is somebody out there for you. You are not cursed. You are not flawed. I want you to hear me when I say this. I want to leave you with this. We're going to close now. You are not in an almost relationship, or you have not been in an almost relationship because something is wrong with you, because there's something like fundamentally unfixable. And I have to say that because that's how some women talk to themselves, knowingly or unknowingly. If you are or have been in an almost relationship, it's simply because no one taught you what to look for the signs of that, and what to do differently. That's it. Once you know, now you've got choice. You can continue to participate in it or not, but at least you know what to do, right? And it's probably also likely that you're the kind of person that does give people the benefit of the doubt long after, long past the point where it's good for you, where it's a good thing for you. Okay. So it's not a curse. It's not a flaw. You're not destined to be alone. None of that is true. It's simply a pattern. And patterns can be broken. And shifts can happen that can have you change from this trajectory to a completely different trajectory and being on the path to being in the relationship of your dreams this year when you know what to do and how to do it. So book that discovery call if you've never had the love discovery call, and we'll show you how. I promise you, you're going to leave with clarity and at least 2 steps that you can take to get you on the path to being in the relationship of your dreams this year. So that's it for tonight's love chat. I hope it spoke to you. I hope it resonated. I hope that you are saying, you know what? Not another, those of you who have worked with us in the past, this is my not another moment. I'm not wasting another moment of my time, another ounce of my love, attention, and affection in the wrong relationship. I'm going to save that to point towards myself and to invest in the man who's I'm going to get a ton of return on that investment because he's going to love me, cherish me, want to be with me, adore me, and be the real partner in a real relationship that my heart desires. All right. So this is it for tonight's love chat. We have another amazing love chat lined up for you next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. And until our hearts meet again, always remember that you are loved. Goodbye for now.